Welcome to the 50th episode of Rant on Reels. I'm Xavier Barnett.
And I'm Michael Fooch.
And we're on a mission to do a deep dive on today's podcast for... Okay, I'm done with that. We're gonna do a deep podcast on Little Women, and we're also gonna tell you guys the top 10 movies of 2019.
And don't forget, in this first episode of 2020, to like and review us as much as you can. We love the criticism and the compliments, or just the neutral thoughts and your opinions. You can do this on SoundCloud and on Spotify and on YouTube, and you can like and subscribe to us on Instagram.
You can't subscribe on Instagram.
You can't?
Like and subscribe on YouTube.
Sorry. Not that we're telling you not to go on Instagram, but that's probably the least place to find us.
And I don't know if you noticed, but we've changed it up a little bit.
Special 50th episode. Xavier wanted to feel like he had some authority in this, so I feel like the little things. You give him the little things.
Little things. This is a major thing. This is a big deal for people like me.
It is a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
How you doing, Xavier?
I'm doing good. I was supposed to ask you
Sorry.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. You know what? I'm feeling good. You know, for it's 2020, it's always a good thing moving forward.
Year of positivity.
Well, 2019 was such a bad year for movies. I am so excited for 2020.
In last week's podcast, you said you were not, so you just contradicted yourself. You're a liar. We lost our validity in this podcast.
Well, no, but
Thank you so much.
Last week I felt like that, but I feel like, you know, seeing the clock strike midnight on 2019, it's like a weight was off your shoulders kind of thing.
All right, good to hear. Thanks for asking how I felt, but I've had a good, feeling good so far as well. You know, it's time to tackle this year. We're into the roaring 20s. I'm gonna start trying to use more slang from the 20s.
The bee's knees.
The bee's knees.
Hotsy totsy.
Hotsy totsy. I was saying I told you that yesterday.
Are you hep with the language though?
No, I have to do some more research and read it more. A lot of it's from Prohibition era. So
I know if you want, I do a lesson on that for the 20s year, and I know it all. So when you said hotsy totsy, I'm like, that's all of my. Are you gonna be a lounge lizard?
A lounge lizard. Which one's that?
Ladies man.
Ladies man. Wow, that's interesting.
Actually, you know what's funny because it's so interesting. As kids grow up and the slang they use, I always do a lesson where I try to use 20 slang. But I don't tell them I'm using 20 slang. Oh, we have a little technical difficulty. For those of us who are listening, we have a little bit of technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Don't worry, I'll fix this right up for you in a jiffy.
But while he's fixing it,
keep on talking.
What I like to do is I don't like to tell them I'm doing it, but there's some language like, sir, you can't say that. Like I tell them that they slay me. Now, I did not realize that slay is a sexual term because in the 1920s it means you make me laugh.
Oh, that's a sexual term. When was that considered sexual?
Like 5 years ago.
Oh.
Now the one that they get is I call some of the boys cake eaters. You know what that means in the 1920s talk?
I don't know what it means in 1920s.
He's a ladies man, just like lounge lizard.
Well, this kind of technically you are a ladies man. Maybe a ladies pleaser.
No, it deals with men, isn't it?
What?
Cake isn't pie. I don't know. Let's get on to movies here.
We'll go on the movies. What are the news, man?
Well,
in the roaring 20s.
The
first news of the roaring 20s.
The one that stood out that hit me today was about Todd Phillips. Now Todd Phillips, he wants to make a Batman movie in the Joker world.
Oh, interesting. I thought you just wanted to do robbery for now. I don't think he should do that.
Why don't you think you should do that?
Because, I don't know, the Joker's a hero, so...
Right?
And he might be able to do it because it made a lot of money.
He can get whatever he wants now.
Just as profitable as Endgame this year. Not making as much money, but considering the money that it made.
I think it would be a bad idea.
Yeah, well, a lot of people liked it, so...
But again, Bruce Wayne... like 12. Mm-hmm. The Joker, like 40.
He's going to be like in his 50s. not even like 60. He's gonna be beating the crap out of a 60-year-old man. That's gonna be fun. If he's 20, actually at most if he's 10 years later, if he's like 23, which is at most how he has to, and he doesn't even start at that age, and he beats the crap out of Joker, he's gonna be 56. Joker's gonna be he's gonna be definitely pushing 60 by the time he's full on Batman, and he's not.
I know.
So yeah, it's not gonna work.
I
Sorry.
know.
You know, it's gonna be back to when Spider-Man used to beat the crap out of Vulture. It's some old guy in a bird suit. He's punched in the face by a man with superpowers. It's not a pretty sight.
No, not even a little bit. So that's the main story. Also in the news, Disney's moving up WandaVision. So instead of coming out in 2021, it's going to be coming out this year. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I wonder why that's happening. Why do you think that's happening?
Honestly, I think it's because of the success Mandalorian had. To show us that Disney can have, their TV shows on with their big properties.
I think it is because of the success of The Mandalorian, because apparently a lot of people have been canceling Disney Plus after the release of The Mandalorian.
When it was done. Why do you think that is? I don't understand that. Like, I wouldn't cancel my Disney Plus. There's so much gold on that on it.
I don't know. Out of all the streaming services, that's the one I use the least. I only go on it I've only watched The Mandalorian and WALL-E on Disney Plus. So I bought the year subscription, and now I'm like, I kind of wish I got the monthly subscription and just order it when Winter Soldier came out, and just save the extra $8.99. Well, that I paid, but everyone has a different thing. My other family members use it, so whatever. So my sister uses it for That's So Raven and everything like that.
Oh yeah, me and Giovanna are watching Even Stevens. I want to go through every Disney animated movie and kind of rank them, all like 55 of them, 60 of them with the Pixar movies.
Yeah, because some of the Disney movies that are like, or some of them are still on like other streaming services, like Netflix has some access to it as well. So.
For now, though, but once those contracts expired, they're not getting them back.
Disney Plus.
It's all Disney, right?
I kind of want someone more like, because Disney owns so much properties, right? Like, Disney Plus doesn't have to just be Disney movies. It has the X-Men movies on it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I look at it. I watch like the Home Alone movies on it this Christmas. I watched The Parent Trap, which I really like. The Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah. I watched a bunch of movies.
Take some of the Fox properties. Come on now. I think The Rock is but I guess is it marketed more towards kids? They should have like a Fox section that you can, or like
I agree.
Disney Adult, I
think that's going to be Hulu eventually. We talked about it on this podcast.
Yeah, that could be the.
Any other news you want to talk about?
No, that's about it for me.
So we didn't talk about Mandalorian last week because I was on a Star Wars hiatus from the movie. The worst movie of the year last year. I did watch The Mandalorian finale today.
Oh, wow.
I did.
What'd you think?
I was very impressed with it. And when it was over, I paused for I'd say 2 minutes. And you know what I did in those 2 minutes?
You said thank you?
No. I should have, but I didn't.
What'd you do then?
I just said, I thought to myself, this miniseries, this show, was so good. It was so Star Wars. Why wasn't this the springboard for the new trilogy in the Skywalker saga? I just think to myself, I'm like, okay, Baby Yoda is now with Mando, and they're on a mission to find other Jedi. Well, they're going to find other Jedi. In fact, they're going to find a specific Jedi who's training all the Jedi right now. Who are they going to find?
Mr. Luke.
So does that mean that Baby Yoda by the time the prequels come out 20 years later, or sorry, not the prequel, sorry, the sequel trilogy. This current trilogy comes out 20 years later, Baby Yoda's dead?
He could be dead.
Because where is he?
Who knows? Maybe he's hiding. You know? Everybody, if you don't see them get killed, every Jedi that's ever escaped has went into hiding.
I just don't understand why Luke, again, it just makes no sense with the new trilogy. And this Mandalorian series was so good. but yet at the same time so depressing because I know what's next. I know what Force Awakens is, and it just doesn't make any sense.
It's okay. Sometimes these things happen. But yeah,
What did you think of the episode?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series as a whole. It was refreshing for me, you know. Not everyone loves the series as much as us, though. But who cares? I like what I like.
Why aren't people? What are people saying that they don't like about it?
They said some people don't like how it's all structured into one episode, like some continuation. You know, it's always everything's gonna have some stupid criticism that nothing's gonna please everyone.
Of course.
So I don't take mine. For me, I enjoyed it, and I didn't look too deep into that. But you know me, I don't look as deeply into movies as some other people, even though I am a movie reviewer.
Wait, who looks into movies more than you? Like that's too much.
I don't say too much, but I'd say maybe a little bit more than me. He starts with an F and ends with an ooch.
Oh, fooch. I am. I'm a little in depth on movies, but I think it's important, and I am as a Star Wars fan. The Mandalorian met all my expectations.
That's good. Hopefully, the Kenobi movies is good, and can't wait for Winter Soldier and Falcon
to 2020, man.
2020
All right.
year Disney Plus.
All right.
You should put the Runaways on that too. I don't know why they don't put it on. It's so Hulu owned. I'd love to watch the Runaways.
The Runaways.
Yeah, it's a Disney thing about a group of kids that they're not part of the actual Marvel universe, but they travel from universe to universe to try and escape their kids and stuff. So there's a chance where they can accidentally run into the 616 universe. So it's pretty fun read for the comics and stuff like that.
Nice.
And some, but yeah.
So I guess before we get into deep diving, we should tell them that we said we were going to review Bombshell this week, but we've decided against it.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say decide against it. I'd say we decided not to review it.
We both enjoyed the movie a lot, but we felt as two guys in a movie that's about the Me Too movement, it's not appropriate. We both enjoyed it. We liked it. We'll say that. We go watch it. But
and it's eye opening, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely eye opening.
That's
we don't need I definitely say
to anybody. We don't want to. Pretty much, we don't know what the hell we're talking about in that situation, and when you don't know what the hell you're talking about,
you should be talking about it. We're not ranting about something that's not for us to rant about.
Yeah,
that is not.
Yeah, we don't want to spread misinformation further.
We do suggest you go watch the movie. It's a very fair movie. Yeah.
Fair portrayal of everyone.
Not divisive like some of the other movies that we've talked about in this podcast.
Like the worst movie of the year for me, Black Christmas.
Yes.
But,
no, absolutely.
Last year. So, yeah. Definitely check it out. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Give it a check out. I enjoyed it very much so.
Okay.
All right. So, I have to do this part too then? Oh, okay, I didn't realize. Okay, so we're going to do a deep dive into Little Women, and I'm waiting...
For my opening thoughts?
No. What do we...
Oh, right. You. Sorry. Sorry. Xavier has such a hard job. I don't know how he does it. Just so you are aware at this point in the podcast, there will be spoilers. I mean, even though... We've already spoiled Mandalorian for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. If you have not seen Little Women yet, or
actually, we didn't really spoil Mandalorian. We didn't say anything too besides about the plot, except for Baby Yoda.
That's true.
Pretty good.
Yeah, well, not bad.
But go ahead.
But if you haven't, no worries. If you haven't seen Little Women yet, and you want to, be aware that we're going to be talking pretty in depth about it, so there'll be spoilers. Also, we're talking about our top 10 movies of 2019. So if you haven't seen one of the best movies in 2019 or any movie in 2019, because who knows how we think.
Yeah.
Be wary.
Yeah. Tune out now.
But come back after you see them.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. All right, so now we're going to deep dive into Little Women. Now, Michael, what are your opening thoughts?
You know what? I really enjoyed this film. It's one of those films where my biggest criticism at the 2-hour mark was this movie's not going to be long enough. I wanted more. This new movie needed to be 4 hours. I really enjoyed all four of the sisters. I enjoyed all four of the sisters' stories. I was engaged in each one of their plots. I wanted to know more. That's where I'm left off. The acting was great. Watson and Ronan were phenomenal. I thought Puig, who's had a breakout year, continues to show why she's going to be a big actress in Hollywood one day. I like
One
the
day.
well,
She's gonna do it now.
well, I think she'll be a A-lister one day. Is what I mean. I like the tone of the movie. I like the emotions that it'll make you feel, and most importantly, it's a movie that felt real. And the movie is about, it's not about politics. It's not about race. It's not even about. At least the book isn't even about gender. It's just about the stories of a family, who happen to be four women. And it did a good job making me feel like I could relate to all four of those characters, and I thought that was great. I did dislike
But
I did dislike the ending, and we'll talk about it when the time comes, because I don't want to take it away from the movie. I still really enjoyed it, and I really feel that this movie falls into the trap that the book was written in 1868. It's not 2019, and I think movies today that deal with the time, and even books that deal with the 1800s, have to remember they were the 1800s. They're not 2019 or 2020.
different time period.
Yeah. So that is I didn't really necessarily like the not explaining the times either, but those are my opening thoughts.
All right. My opening thoughts. Boy, did I have fun with this movie. I had a little, I don't know if you saw, but I had a lot of smiles on my faces. Like, this movie, I really felt a lot for the characters. It's very moving, touching for me. I was engaged with every character's story. I never was like, oh, no, this is about one of the characters, Beth. Oh, no, I don't care about, like, everything felt great. All the interactions between all the characters felt, like you said, real. They all felt like real people. They all felt like it was just a fun ride, just following this family around, and like some of it was, I didn't mind the some of the messages sent in it. I wasn't too. I've never read the book, so I don't have the same bias as people that read the book. So I've have that fortune. So for me, not knowing anything going in, I was kind of excited for this. Not gonna lie, when I first saw the first trailer, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and I was not disappointed at all. I was very thoroughly enjoyed this, and like you said, I really wanted more. Even like, obviously, you went into the set piece and everything, but like the way the scene and the cinematography was beautiful as well. Just like the areas they were located in and shot, it was brilliant. Meryl Streep was great in it. Like, all casting was amazing as well. Just all around great fun movie to watch. And that's my opening thought.
So I guess I kind of want to ask you if you've read the book, but you said you haven't.
No, I have not.
I have. I read it when I was in high school, like grade 9. I don't remember, or maybe grade 10. I don't remember it. Or at least I didn't remember it completely as I did. Like there were things I think I told you at the end of the movie. I'm like, I just want to check that up, and
yeah.
But it was good. I really liked the book. I think it was very well written. Now, one of the main differences between the book and the movie is the book is told linearly.
Yeah.
The book begins. It has two parts. The first part deals with pretty much up until Meg's wedding. And the second part deals with them kind of more adulty, like the 7 years later as you get. The movie chose to do it through flashbacks. What are your thoughts on that choice?
For me, since I never read the book, I was okay with this. I didn't really take into the time frame until you said something, which I was like, okay, like it doesn't quite line up with the ages and everything like that if you really look into it. But I'm gonna give it a pass on that for me personally, and I still didn't take away from the movie for me personally, and I still enjoyed it, and I kind of thought it was fun. For me, I thought it was kind of fun for me to kind of figure out, oh, they're in this time frame now. Okay, this person's this hair. It helped me pay attention a lot more to the movie.
I like the choice, believe it or not. Like, I know it seems like I didn't, but I did like the choice because the one thing that Greta Gerwig, sorry, the one thing she does that I really like is she kind of gives each character like their story as they're being told, whereas in the novel, you get that, but it's kind of from start to end, but you kind of see where they're going, the growth kind of.
Yeah.
Thing. And I like that. The one thing I would have done to make it better is do give us a time thing, because we get introduced with Joe in the present time, and then it's 7 years earlier.
Yeah.
But we don't kind of get the idea of how we get from 7 years earlier to then, right? It doesn't flow nicely.
Yeah.
But it's still a good choice. I still like the choice. It actually makes it more engaging and less engaging.
Yeah, that's why I said I felt I was more engaged by trying to figure out. I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here, you know?
All right, Xavier.
Especially when we watch the late night movies, it's hard for me to stay engaged if the movie is boring because you know what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I start snoring.
So I want to go through this podcast instead of talking, because time flies all over the place. I want to talk about the
developments of all the four sisters. Okay.
So let's start with Joe. So Joe, the movie begins with her working in New York City. She's a writer. She writes anonymously for different publications because her mom doesn't like what she writes about.
Yeah.
Throughout the story, I would say it's told more through her eyes than any of the other sisters.
Yeah, she's probably the most lead role. Lead role. They're all lead roles, but she's the lead.
Yes.
I'd argue.
Yeah, I would agree. The story is more told towards her. And she's a good writer. But she gets a letter from her mom saying her sister's ill, and she comes back. And then from that kind of moment, we start the flashback scenes.
Yeah.
And basically, her story is she's always been more of a boy, and she, in fact, admits that her greatest regret is she wasn't born a boy.
Yeah.
Because it is the 1860s, and unfortunately for women, they didn't have the same rights that they do today. And when she goes to a ball with her older sister, Meg, she meets Laurie, who is from a rich family and their next-door neighbor. And they become, I would say, best friends.
Yeah, best friends. Laurie gets friend-zoned.
It's clear from day one that he loves her, but she puts him right in the friend zone. But he's, working at breaking through.
Yeah.
Unsuccessfully, because Joe is definitely very stubborn, pig-headed, and...
Yeah, and she's her way.
Yeah.
She doesn't need anybody.
Yeah, she can do it on her own.
Yeah.
But she always just sees him as a brother. Like, that doesn't change throughout the movie. And then it'll eventually lead to her rejecting him.
Yes.
And that's, in a nutshell, kind of her story arc. She does some writing. We won't talk about too much of the interaction with the sister. Sisters, we'll save that for later. Just more of the story. What were your thoughts on the character Joe?
I really liked her. Right away, you tell she's very family-oriented. They're all family-oriented. They want to be together forever. Joe, a little bit of her is still living in the past as well, because she's one of the people that say, "Oh, I don't want you to leave me," like Meg left, blah blah blah. She's a little bit upset at her sister that she's not. Spoiler: when her sister Beth gets sick, she's a little upset with her sister Amy because she's not there. She's in Paris with her aunt, and some of it, and I like her. For her, it's this movie. I feel like it's a lot about her. It's a lot about all the characters doing a self-discovery for all of them. But I really was engaged with like her self-discovery. Just her. I'm not gonna get married. It's not gonna make sense. We're not gonna be happy together. We're so different. It was just, for me, it was a fun ride. I really liked her character. Nothing to detest about her.
I agree with everything you kind of said. Like, she's a fascinating character. She's out of time, right?
Yeah.
She is, the one really thing that like we can talk about is like all four of these sisters. They're all differently in the arts, right?
Yeah.
Joe is the writer. Meg is the actress. Beth is the musician, and Amy is the painter. Right? They're an artistic family, which is brilliant. And you know, for Jo, she might be the most talented of the four, or at least the one that is going to pursue her talents more than anyone else.
Very admirate that she wants to pursue this.
And I really like her family orientedness, right? Like she is probably the most her and Beth are probably the most family oriented within the family. And even though Meg's the oldest, it seems like Jo's the leader, right?
Yeah.
She's the one who writes the plays that they all perform. Like she's the one who has the ideas.
She's the one that teaches.
She's the best teacher, and we kind of see that when she goes to New York. She is the best teacher at the school she's at. So in a lot of ways, it makes a lot of sense. And I thought Ronan did a fantastic job
portraying her.
Like,
she was great.
Absolutely, and she played her with a good stubbornness that I absolutely loved. Won't take no for an answer. Has to be my way. I can appreciate that. I felt like she's a character I related with. Maybe not the one I related most with, but definitely a character I related with.
I was gonna say that too in my thing. I felt I related with her. I think other ways for you and for me what I related with, but I feel like I guess she's very relatable. That's what we want to say.
Absolutely. So that takes us to Meg. Now Meg is the eldest, and I would say in a lot of ways Meg is the most complicated of the characters.
Yeah.
In that we get to, she wants to be rich, but she's very kind-hearted and very giving.
Yes.
So kind of ironic in that way.
Yeah.
She's this character that goes to an elegant ball, right? But she's the one who's going to marry for love and marry this penniless tutor.
Yes.
To kind of show the kind of what she's like. She's an actress. I really like her scene when she goes to the ball. She pretends to be someone else because she wants to be rich. Yeah. But she feels horrible because she also, like Jo, loves the family. To a different extent, but still loves the family. She ends up marrying the poor tutor. They have twins. One of the first scenes we see her in when we're introduced to her is she buys $50 fabric, which is a ridiculous amount of money at the time.
How much is that? Like what, 500 back then?
If not more.
Yeah.
But this is the idea, right? Like she sees herself as she has this desire to be rich. She's easily manipulated by her friends too. Like her friends have money.
Rich, they all have money, and they're like, "Hey, this is easy. We just buy it, you know."
But at the end of the day, even though her husband wants to give her the dress and help her out to make a beautiful dress, she sells it because she understands that her family and her husband she loves it are more important than a stupid dress.
Right? Yeah.
So what are your thoughts overall on Meg?
Another character I loved. The complicated her over story arc is, like you said, you see her, she wants to be the rich girl, she wants to be famous, you know, like, and everyone wants it. I feel like there's a little bit of relatability to every character for me. I see a little bit of myself in all of them. And everyone always fantasizes about being rich, but like sometimes you come to the point, you know, sometimes I know you don't think this, but having all the money in the world doesn't always make you happy. It's about being with the people you love and having people that care. And I feel like once her sister passed away, Beth, things really came into perspective. Spoiler for one of the sisters. Things really come into perspective for her, and she really feels that she needs to things like money don't really matter, because they had friends with all the money in the world, and what did that bring her, right? So that's how I feel about Beth.
You mean Meg?
Meg, sorry. Oh my God.
For me, I think in a lot of ways she's the most relatable character because everyone wants more than what they've got, right? Yeah. That's the kind of thing with her, and not everyone discovers what they actually have, and that's something that Meg does discover, right? She discovers, wait a minute, I have everything I need right here. And she realized that when Beth dies and she had bought in that fabric, and she's like, I'm so stupid. What the hell did I do? Yeah. I'm smarter than that. And I really like that. I like the actingness. Like she's so talented, but she it's it was just something she did for fun, right? She
Yeah.
even says it like Joe tries to convince Meg not to get married.
Yeah, don't get married. Let's go into acting. We can do it.
Yeah, let's work together. And she says, like, listen, like, I like acting, but that's not my passion. Like, you're a writer. I want a family. I want to settle down. I want children.
Yeah.
And that was what was in the cards for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I again, really liked her. And Emma Watson was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I do have one more question about Meg. Did she get the short end of the stick? I felt like she got, like, she didn't get she got the least screen time of the sisters.
Yeah, no, she did get the least screen time. Actually, for me, I'd argue a little bit. I don't know that this is fact, but I felt like Beth got more of the short end than Meg.
Maybe Beth. It's
I
Beth
feel
or
like
Meg.
'cause
Beth or Meg.
Yeah, but it's either Beth or Meg. I'm more on the Beth got more of the short end because I'm trying to figure major scenes that I remember with Beth, and obviously when they're all together with Beth, and then Beth alone is what she played the piano.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the other one. For at least with Meg, she went to the ball. I remember that one
The fabric.
the fabric scene. I remember the scene where she's alone with her husband, saying, you know, she's like, you don't make enough money for me, so I don't know, like, I want to be rich. That was a great scene, by
Such
the
a
way.
good scene. And you just see it like
Yeah.
rip through his heart because
Yeah,
he
I know,
knows
that's-
he's like, I have like this beautiful woman, and she's right. I can't provide for her. I
Yeah.
feel so guilty.
Right? Like, that's very moving scene, so that's what I would say. But out of the two, the other two get a little bit more screen time than the other two sisters get way more screen time than the other two, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
You're not wrong. So that takes us to Amy. And I just want to say something about Amy because Florence Pugh, I just want to say, was great. Normally when they make, like when the 94 movie came out, they had an actress for Amy at 13 and then an actress for Amy at 20.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's a big gap.
Yeah.
But not Florence. Florence pulled it off. She played her at 13 and at 20. And was so good.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, I
really,
thought
really
she stole the show.
good.
Honestly, I think I was most interested in this story arc. I love how she kind of lived her life in Joe's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
She loved Lori from the like romantic love Lori from the moment
She laid eyes
she
on
laid
him.
out, and they did a good, such a
You can
great
see it
job.
in her face. That's how
It's
good.
so
That's how you
easy.
know she's gonna be talented. Like
Oh, yeah.
just right in the face, like, oh, she likes him.
Yeah. She ends up going to Paris. She does what her aunt March wants her to do and courts for money, not for love.
Mm-hmm.
But she wants to be an artist. And the line, I think my favorite line of the movie, and it's right out of the book, is she wants to be great or nothing. Like that's it. I want to be great, or I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really relatable line to a lot of people. And again, it's a character I probably related the most with in here because you feel like this desire to be the best at something, right? Especially when you're like the third child. I'm not the third child, or a middle child. I'm the oldest. I'm more
Same.
yeah. But I still can have this idea that you're always living in other people's shadows. You always want to be better than everyone else. Like you have to be the
Yeah.
best. So you try to correct people when they say something wrong. You have to be right because otherwise you're not good enough. And I think there's a lot of truth that a lot of people feel like that, and I think that's why Amy is really relatable. What are your thoughts on Amy?
I second most of the things that you say. I felt, like you said, I do think she stole the show. She's very interesting. Like, in every scene, especially with actors like you have Ronan and Emma Watson, Lara Dern, and Meryl Streep, and she's the one that's the charisma in the room, that's saying a lot of things, right? It's not like she's playing against, no-name actresses. These are all established ones as well. And she was the main person that you'd kind of pay attention to, right? I really felt, honestly, if anyone's going to I feel like if people are gonna hate a character, it might be the Amy character because of some of the things she might be seen as selfish.
You're right. Oh, she does the worst things of the characters in
Yeah,
it.
right.
Like she does bad things, And we'll talk about that later on.
But it's because, like you said, she wants to be the best. It's her desire. She feels left out. It feels like her and Joe have but the most heads as
Because
well.
they're the most they're similar.
They're similar. Plus, they're both the middle child.
Yeah. You're
Right?
exactly.
So they're obviously going to be a competition, and you can see the competition. It's a little subtle at the beginning, just like how their interactions, like how she said, "I want to be a best artist," and then Beth said, I think it's either Beth or Meg says a good point, like, "Isn't that what you want to be? You want to be the best writer?" She's like, "I know, but it sounds so putrid or something
Absolutely.
when she says it, right?" So you can tell that subtly there's a thing there, and it grows and grows until eventually it climaxes
At the end.
near the end, and then they eventually, even at the point, the person she's in love with is in love with her older sister as well, right? Can you imagine being through that? No wonder she is the way she is.
Oh, absolutely. But there's also the age gap too. It almost seems like Meg and Joe are like 5 years older than the other two.
Yeah.
So like but they're so close together that they do everything together. But there are a couple things that Amy's not ready to do yet, and Beth has no interest. But Amy wants to be there, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this. Meg wants to start a family. Meg wants to do her thing. Amy wants to be the best, like Joe. Mm-hmm. And Joe is seen as the most talented. It's always Joe. She's the leader, right? Well, if you're not the leader and you have ambitions to be the leader, who are you going to have most heads with?
Yeah, the leader.
The leader. So you see that, and it's very relatable. And mm-hmm. I really like the character, and I'm so glad that Greta decided to keep Florence as doing both of it. Roles. And you know what? I thought one comment you would make is like the Irishman should take notes, because like instead of de-aging her, they just put bangs in her face and
Well, Irishman, it's funny that I literally just thought of that now, and the Irishman should take notes instead of using CGI and all that nonsense.
Just change the way they look a little bit. Yeah. No, I really liked her. So that takes us to Beth. And Beth is the quiet one, the musician, right? She speaks through her music.
Yeah.
And she kind of lives in the shadows, right? Like when they do their plays at Christmas or things like that, she doesn't participate in them, right? She's not outgoing. She doesn't want to be in the limelight. She is the best of them. She has a relationship with Mr. Lawrence, which we'll talk about in a moment. And she's the one who's going to die. So first, what are your overall thoughts on Beth?
We didn't get enough of her. Like I said, that's it. Her character was very interesting as well. Like all these characters, it's not like Beth she wasn't like super interested. I would say, oh, whatever. But like she was very interested, and even though and I was still upset that she passed away, even with what little screen time they had, just because the fact that they were such a close knit group as sisters. And how tight the family is, and how they helped each other, helped people together, and they were given, their parents put good heads on all their shoulders, like they taught them to share, to care, and give, and she takes that, I think out of all of them, she takes that to heart, and because she wants to help people, unfortunately, it's her undoing as well. Not right away, but she never recovers from the pain that happens to her and everything like that. Great character. I really like the relationship between Laurie's grandfather and her as well, and just the music she played, and I just loved them all together. I think my favorite parts of the movie was them seeing how close they actually felt, like real sisters to me.
They did. They fought like real sisters. They loved like real sisters. You're absolutely right. And she is the youngest, but like not the youngest, like kind of the oldest in a lot of ways, because she's the only one that never really had problems with anyone, never got into arguments. And you're right, we did not get enough Beth.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but again, I would have been fine with a 3-hour movie. Like we had 3.5 hours of the Irishman, 3 hours of Endgame. Give me 3 hours of Little Women. Like it was good. Like it's if a movie's good, it can be long, and there were stories to tell. Like, I mean, my favorite scene is, so she's the quiet one, and when the girls meet Mr. Lawrence, who we'll talk about in a moment, but he's kind of like the recluse next door who whose daughter died and had to disown his son. He has this reputation. You think he's going to be so mean, but he opens his doors to these girls, and Beth comes and plays the piano. And he, who's upstairs listening, kind of comes down the stairs in this wide angle shot and just sits on the stairs and like has like tears as he's listening to this music. And that was the most emotional scene for me in it. And it's just a shame that we didn't get to see more of Beth and Mr. Lawrence and that develop. Like she makes some like slippers, and he ends up giving her the piano. It was just a great story. Like no one had a mean thing. You could say mean things about Amy, Joe, or Meg. You could not say a mean thing about Beth in this.
No, she's really the Saint Nicholas of the group.
Really, she was. Now, did you know she was gonna die?
Once she got sick a second time, I felt it coming. I'm like, she's not.
So you weren't a Friends fan then?
A Friends
fan? TV show Friends.
No.
So if you watch Friends, you would have been spoiled by this because Joey always read The Shining and Rachel always read Little Women, and they decided to switch. And Rachel kind of spills that Beth was going to die, and Joey gets all sad, and then she says, "Oh, it's not gonna happen." And then when he reads it, he comes over to the apartment and is like, "Beth's sick," and they put the book in the freezer because that's what he does when books are scary. It is. It's just I knew, and I guess that like you did say this, but how did you feel when she died? Like,
I felt sad. Like I said.
Would you feel devastated though? Was it like up, like when the wife dies and up? Like, did you feel like that, or was like,
Not. I wouldn't say devastated. Definitely, but not like. I really felt something, but I wouldn't say up's very hard. You know, like that. It's hard to take that place. I'm sure. Probably if I read the book, I'd feel it more.
And that's
because you don't get enough Beth.
That's
right?
exactly it. I think that's one of the areas the movie doesn't succeed is because it's short and it has to be, but we don't get that connection with Beth.
Yeah.
In the book, they make it pretty obvious that she's going to die. In the movie, it came out of kind of left field. Like you don't know what's going to happen. I think that's what they were going. That's what I think they were hoping to do instead of giving Beth the screen time she needed. Make it quick. But make it efficient. Make it surprise. Like
no, I still think it was efficient though, and that's a worst word to use in that kind of situation.
No, but, they did a good job.
Yeah, because I still felt like I didn't feel for me personally, but like for the characters, just knowing what they've been through, seeing how close as a sisterly bond they are, and this shows you scenes of like how Joe in the first time she was sick just would not stop, would stay by her all the time. You know, It just was. I felt very tough for the characters, you know. Like that's why I felt more for the characters, you know.
Yeah, and we really get to see we get to see Beth one-on-one time with Joe, but not really with any, and maybe a little bit with Amy. But we don't get to see like Meg have that one-on-one time with her, right?
Yeah, which are the two characters that get the least screen time.
I know it's true. So that's Beth. Laurie is the troubled kid next door, right?
Yeah.
In the 7 years in the past, he's like doesn't want to learn. He's being tutored, but doesn't like listen.
Fancy society.
And then in the 7 years in the present time, he gets drunk and comes to like the ball with two girls.
Yeah.
He he loved Joe and gets rejected and kind of forgets to live life for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then when Amy tells him like that she's been in love with him her entire life, he finally does the right thing and leaves.
Yeah.
And then Amy's like, "Oh, he left? I said no to the rich guy who wanted me."
Yeah. And then Meryl's like, "What the hell?"
And then that takes us to like the part where like they go back together because Beth was sick, and they marry on the way. And yeah. Is Laurie developed enough?
Not as much as I'd like. But the question is this a Laurie movie or is it more focused towards the girls, right?
See,
he's developed more than Beth and Meg. Actually, no, not as much as Meg, no.
I think he's not developed enough, and I think this is the reason. Why does there's one line in this film at the wedding, at Meg's wedding, where we find out he graduated. And in the book, they do a good job saying he graduated because of Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe pushes him to get his life together.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think that this movie is missing with some of this development of characters, or what made the book so special. These girls have an impact on all of the people around them.
They interact a lot.
So
okay.
By evolving or developing Laurie more, you understand, number one, that importance of Joe's character, and number two, why he's wallowing for so long, right? Mm-hmm. Why he gives up, because that's what he was before. Joe was his reason for doing things, and then he kind of sees Amy, and it kind of brings him back to
reality.
Exactly, or to what's important in life, right? So I do think there could have been a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, did you like Laurie?
I liked him. I didn't hate him. I kind of felt, he obviously, from what his dad's, there's no father figure, no mother figure. He's been through a rough patch, so it's kind of he doesn't have like a true father figure, so no one's really showing him through the ropes, right? He's just doing things how he wants to do. So it's understandable where he's coming from. So I didn't hate his character, and and I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed his interactions as well with them.
Oh, I agree.
A little bit, and he was a funny guy. He's a little bit cheeky.
Yeah, he was one of the girls in this case, right? Like he had fun. He didn't take himself seriously.
Yeah,
I really liked him I liked him pretty much until he marries Amy, because that wasn't developed. It just kind of happened out of left field. Yeah. And I would have liked, again, more development. But again, that kind of goes to the ending of the movie that I felt was very rushed and not well done. Mr. Lawrence is another one of our side characters, and he's my personal favorite of the side characters. We've talked a little bit about him. His son, he has disowned. His daughter has died. He's lonely, and he gets touched by these marsh women, these little women. Specifically, Beth. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm just going to ask you one more time just because I want to hear it, because do we need more Beth and Mr. Lawrence?
Yes. A little bit more more Beth than Mr. Lawrence, just to kind of feel that they are interacting. There are more interactions.
So, the parents. Let's start with the mom. What do you think of Miss March, or Marmee?
I liked her. Not a lot of characters here. The one person that I'm going to go skip ahead to the dad. Not developed at all. He's kind of just away, and then he's there.
Did you think the dad was gonna die in the war?
I didn't think he was gonna die in the war.
Oh, I thought.
But after
Giovanna thought that for sure.
Yeah, what's it called? After the thing, I'm like, someone in the family's died. I thought it was Beth. I took my card, put my cards on Beth. But like with the father, I didn't even know, the whole entire Beth is sick. You don't really see the father much. I thought he was dead,
He's sick. He's sick in Washington, right? That's why the mom leaves.
Oh, yeah.
He's sick.
No, that was the first time he was sick. The second time Beth's sick, you don't see the father much.
Yeah, and I think
until the funeral.
I think that's there for a reason, though, right? Because they don't... This is because of the flashbacks, right?
Oh,
they want you to think the dad died during the Civil War, so they don't show him when he comes back. They keep him hidden.
But even when he comes back, he's still not in there once he's sick.
Well, in the book, he's a reverend, and you kind of see that when he marries Meg. Mm-hmm. But he comes back at the end of the first part. Yeah. Of the novel, and he's in the novel a little bit in the second part, but
yeah, that's the thing. But for the mother, Gloria Dern did a great job playing as the mother. Obviously, you have a fond attachment to her because she's part of your favorite movie of all time.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she was great in it. You can tell the mother was the reason why the kids are raised so well, because of the mother's values and the father's values as well, both put onto the children.
The last character in this movie is a character that is mentioned a lot in the book, but never seen in the book, and that's Aunt March.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they give her a bigger role. Mm-hmm. And they give that to a pretty big actress. I don't know. Have you heard of her? Her name's Meryl Streep. Have you heard of this one?
No, can't have.
No, she's pretty hot. She's got more Academy Award nominations than anyone else. But I mean, she can't be that good.
Yeah, no. I think she's a little bit overrated.
Oh yeah. You better be joking. That's Meryl Streep you're talking about. Mm-hmm. What do you think of Aunt March?
I think I enjoyed her. I'm not gonna lie, Meryl Streep. What's not to love about it? You know, she played her super well. She's kind of the counterpoint to Joe, and to Amy as well, right? I'm not gonna, and just the way that her straight bluntness, right?
She reminds me a lot of Maggie Smith's character in Downton Abbey. Like I feel like that's like she's just like, listen, this is the past. We got to keep it the way it is. No changing. Mm-hmm. You cannot make a thing of yourself. You marry, you have lots of children, and that's it.
Yeah. What about you? You're rich and single. Well, actually, no. You're not married. Yeah, well, that's because I'm rich. I really wish I knew why she was rich. I'm presuming she married a rich husband and he died early.
That's what I don't think. Though I don't think she ever got married. I think that her and her dad, their dad, had made money, but he decided instead of
to donate it
to be a reverend to not all of it.
They're still well
they have money. They like let's be honest. They are still either they're lower upper class or they're upper middle class. Mm-hmm. Like that's where they are in the world. They just like they live beside one of the richer people
in their town.
In their town.
In their small town.
So let's remember that. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about the ending. So, Joe, after Beth dies, Joe decides to write the story of the four sisters. And if you don't know this, the book is actually based off Alcott's life. And she is Joe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hence being the writer. So she decides to write this story. She does. The publisher initially doesn't want it, but then realizes after his daughters read it and want more of it, which is actually true, he decides to get the whole story. While this is going on, we're seeing a sequence where Frederick, and we haven't talked about Frederick, and Frederick is a gentleman that is a professor at the school that Joe works for in New York, and when Joe shows him his work, he's very critical, very blunt, saying that you're a very talented writer, you're writing smut. Why don't you write something meaningful? And she takes that as criticism and leaves.
Gets offended and leaves.
And this is at the beginning of the movie, like one of the first few scenes of the movie where they're dancing at a club, at a bar or whatever.
There's no nightclubs yet.
I didn't say nightclub, I said a club. Anyways, so he comes to visit the Marshes, and says he's got a job in California, and he ends up leaving because Joe doesn't want to stay. And there's a couple things here, but this is being spliced over with Joe talking to the editor, and in the original novel that she gives the editor in this movie, Joe remains unmarried. And the editor said you can't do that. So they get spliced in with Joe running to the train station with this elaborate Hollywood, I love you, Hallmarky, right out, just not Tony at all, and writes it in to keep the editor happy, but saying that she doesn't want to, and insinuating she didn't marry him with no finger. And then Aunt Marsh dies. She gets the school and is going to open a school for girls in 1868. Did you like this ending?
Well, considering that I don't know what happened in the book, that comes the complete opposite. I liked the ending. I wasn't fazed by it, and I didn't have any complaints for me.
I have 3 problems with the ending. 3 major issues. The first, tone. This movie, the tone was very serious, very real, very emotional. Well, this umbrella scene was it was off the tone of the entire movie. The second reason is story perspective, plot points. You have this Frederick character at the beginning of the story. If you don't want Joe to get married, fine. Don't write in Frederick, because why is Frederick there? You have her leave. You have Joe leave New York, not talking to Frederick, and then you put a scene saying, oh, where did Joe go? Is she coming back? Clearly, he loves her. So then he goes to see her. And while this is all going on, Joe is talking about how she's lonely. She writes a letter to Laurie when he's coming back on how she wants to marry him. And then you make the decision, no, women don't have to be married because you want to make this a 2019 thing. It just doesn't work. And then the third reason is continuity. In the novel Little Women, Joe marries Frederick. And I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, that's a big important thing because the second book is called Little Men. The third book is about Frederick and Joe's children. So, I mean, as someone who read the book, I want the ending to kind of match where I want them to go with it. And even the idea of opening just an all-girls school. At the end of the novel, it's an all-boys school because, again, it's 1860s. And it's not until till Meg's twins go to the school and Meg's daughter is the only girl that she invites other girls to come into, and then it's all of them. So, because this movie was so good, I would have liked to see a sequel, but now I can't have one. At least I can't have the sequel that Louis May Alcott wrote.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
The one thing I really enjoyed though about this film is I liked, and the book had a lot more of this, but it's the little moments between the sisters. Now we see some in the movies. Which of these little moments really stood out to you?
I feel like all of them, to me personally. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but like I said, I had fun with all of it. It was a great film to me from start to finish, for those little moments.
My favorite was the moment when they're going to the movies, or not the movies, the play at the city hall or the town hall, and Amy really wants to go, but it's like a double date where Laurie's going with Joe as friends, and John Brooke is trying to court Meg, so they go for the four of them, and Amy really wants to go, and Joe's like, no. And Joe had been writing a novel, and Amy gets the novel and burns it page by page. It's so vindictive. It's so like such a, you could tell because she's like that Amy's a child doing this. And when Joe gets home, she's just like distraught, and like how the other sisters are like, you did wrong to Amy, but still not shunning her. But over like the next, I guess, week, Joe will not talk to Amy at all. Like their relationship's like done.
Yeah.
And Laurie and Joe are gonna go skating on the ice, and Meg's like, go with her. To Amy, and you know what? Just be nice and tell her your story and things like that. But Joe just ignores her and skates away, and Amy falls into the ice, and Joe just immediately is like no, oh my God, Amy, you gotta save her, we gotta save her, and then like Amy's fine, she's okay, and she's sitting by the bed just saying like, I'm so angry, it was my fault, and it's really, I think, what siblings go through, like that love-hate.
Yeah.
So I really like that, the burn of the novel, the consequence, but it's all the little things like the acting or the Beth Bill the four of them giving up their lunch, the little meetings they have up in the room about just their club, the sisters club. I loved all of that. Was there enough of that in this film, or would you have liked to see more?
Obviously, I'd like to see more. Of course, we always said that we always argued that there wasn't enough of some characters. So, of course, I would like to see more.
Is it a mistake to be changing classical literature to make them 2020 relevant or 2020 acceptable?
It's a good question.
And I'll give you an example, like the women's school at the end, or making it about women's rights when women's rights weren't a part of the story.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like I said, movies are a shade of what the political climate is today, right? So, Does it have to be about that? No. To me, personally, it doesn't take away from the story that it is about it. I feel like some movies,
Yeah. I don't think it takes away from the story, and I'm not talking about,
Yeah.
and I'm not even talking about this particular movie. I'm talking about movies in general, any classical fictional work, right? Changing characters to make them women, or to make, like I look at the movie. You ever seen The Patriot?
no.
The Patriot's about the American Revolution, and Mel Gibson.
Oh
plays
yeah, that movie. Yeah, okay, I've seen it.
Well,
with
Mel
Heath
Gibson plays
Ledger
a
and
Southern slave owner, and he's nice to his slaves.
everything. Yeah.
But if you make it true, well, then you can't make him the hero because
Yeah.
you can't have a racist being a hero.
Yeah.
So should we be changing things to make it relevant, to make them or keeping things the way they were? I find it very tough.
It's okay. It's movie magic. It's Hollywood, right? Not everything's gonna be 100% to thing. As long as it doesn't hurt the story too bad, I'm fine with it.
I don't think that changing the story would have ruined the movie. I just think that because it's based on a novel, and you added Frederick in it, and the whole point of adding Frederick or writing that letter to Laurie, having all that in there just seems like you contradicted the story you created.
Fair enough.
So, all right, my last question. Who's your favorite sister?
Don't ask me that. I'm not answering that.
I
refuse to
If they were
answer.
making a movie on one of these sisters, which sister story would you like to see?
answer. I'm not answering that.
Wow.
Don't make me pick. I like all of them. All of them or none of it.
All right. Fair enough. All right, what do you give this movie out of 10?
I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I really had fun with this. And aside from a couple of personal blemishes, it's a great fun ride. I recommend this to everybody. I was texting all my friends, like, go see this movie. This is great. Great movie to end the year on.
So, I'm going to give this an 8.5. I really liked it. It's got rewatchability. I'd watch it again in a heartbeat. But I have a hard time getting over the ending. I have a hard time with that.
I think you're scared because you hate women.
Wow.
Just joking.
No, it's got nothing to do with that. The ending.
Obviously, it's an 8.5.
An ending is so vital to a movie, and I've said that before. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with this movie?
No. Everyone, please watch it. It's great.
You should definitely get watching that movie. It's so good. All right. Shall we talk about our top 10 movies of 2019?
All right.
We can put 2019 to bed.
Okay. All right. So I'm starting this time. I go with number 10 and 9, right? Give me 1 second. Okay. So my number 10 movie, it's all about nostalgia, baby. It's Detective Pikachu. I did not expect this movie to be enjoyable. I really didn't. I thought the Pokemon were going to look unpleasant to look at. A live-action Pokemon movie I never thought would work. It just looked weird, Sonic, take notes. The story, to me, it was fun. It was fresh. Ryan Reynolds was great. The jokes were funny to me. Him trying to catch a Pokemon and just the whole story, overarching story, and a little bit of the twist at the end. Felt a little bit near the end where, the reason for why he wanted to make everyone Pokemon was weird, but that's just me. But other than that, I had a great time with this, and it's probably number 10. The nostalgia factor it's riding high on that. That's why it's in number 10. My number 9.
No. It's to me now. You went first.
Yeah, but I have to say 9.
No, I say 10-9.
Okay, fine.
You started, you ended.
Okay, fine.
All right, my number 10 movie is Fighting with My Family. And, you want to talk about surprise movies of the year. I mean, this is a surprise one to me because I saw a preview to this and I'm like, there's no way this is going to be good. And I was shocked. And, this is what we talked about with Little Women. Florence Pugh. She was so good. I was so impressed with her. She was fantastic. The movie was funny. The story was It was a motivating story. It was about not quitting, about following your dreams, about overcoming yourself in a lot of ways. And I really liked it. And again, movies based on true stories, a lot of times they can go either way, but this one was fantastic. My number 9 movie is another surprise one. It's Cold Pursuit. And I found Cold Pursuit I was so impressed with this movie. Liam Neeson in a role that's kind of like Taken, but not really. He goes around trying to avenge his son who was killed in a stupid way. It was funny. It was a dark comedy. The ending was great. I mean, you can look at our old podcast to get my full thoughts on it. But I was so impressed by that movie. It really stuck out. I like the little rest in peace things when they died. It was so well done.
Okay.
Your number 9?
My number 9 is just a new entry. You made me switch it up because I remembered this one.
Fighting with your family?
Fighting with my family. I'm not gonna lie. I had to just swap out a couple. I'm not gonna tell you what I swapped out. It'll be an honorable mention a little bit, but it was great fun. Like you said, I really enjoyed it. Florence was great in this. I think all 3 of the movies he was in this year would be top 10 if I saw Midsummer, but I'm seeing it this Saturday.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I can't believe he didn't think to ask me if I wanted to see that. That's the thing I got really upset. He literally asked me to see everything else except for Midsummer. I was thinking, I really want to see this, and you're like, I already saw it, and I'm like, what?
I can't believe it. I was shocked. I'll be honest. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I'm like, out of all the movies you think, like, that's something I definitely would be interested in.
No
I thought
idea.
you knew me, but you didn't.
Apparently I don't.
My number 8 is Bombshell. Great movie. I literally talked about it about an hour ago in the podcast earlier. So, we didn't podcast about it, unfortunately, because, like I said, we don't know anything about the topic. But honestly, I really suggest everyone go out there, watch it. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. All the roles were good. The jokes were great. Not gonna lie though, at the very start of the movie, the only thing that annoyed me was Charlize Theron's voice was so. It was the voice from Monster.
She went in and out of that voice. I didn't. That was the one thing I didn't like about it either.
Yeah,
it's like that? It wasn't consistent.
Yeah, right. It sounded like that girl from Monster, like her role from Monster, and then back to normal. Like then you'd notice, I'm like, oh, what the heck, and then it'd go away.
But I loved how they explained how the building worked. I thought it was so well done. And again, not hateful, not a movie that anyone can watch, any gender, any race. It's very enjoyable.
Take something from
exactly. And there are things that everyone will take from that. They'll be like, I agree with that. I agree with that. How could that even happen? That's so stupid. How is that allowed to happen?
Yeah, 100%.
My number 8 movie is Where'd You Go, Bernadette? I mean, I'll say this again. I've said this last week. I'll say it again. This is a bad year for movies. But there was a couple sleeper movies, like the first 2 I said in this one. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite movie of this summer. And what I really liked about this movie, I did not expect it to be good. It's a story of a mother and of a daughter. It's a story about the importance of communicating your problem and facing your problems and needing someone to talk to. And, it was very well done. And again, I really enjoyed it. My number 7 movie, Shazam. If you had told me January 1st, 2019, if I was going to put a DC movie in my top 10, I'd have told you.
It? He's a Marvel fanboy.
I would have told you.
Admit it on the mic.
I would have told. I am a Marvel fanboy. Who's saying I'm not? I'm simply saying I would have not said that I would have put a DC movie because DC I thought was too dark. It wasn't going to work. And then I saw Shazam, and wow. It saddens me because it shows me what Superman could have been. It shows me what all these other DC movies that they were making could have been. Adding some humor, adding some themes, making it relevant to people, making it relatable. A story about finding a family. Who doesn't love that story? Who doesn't want to see that story? So good. And we'll see if DC can keep it up in the future. You're up.
All right, my number 7 is Jumanji: The Next Level. I had a lot of fun with this. It was a great adventure and experience for me. Um, Kevin Hart and The Rock were great. Just the dynamic. I didn't think. I'm like, well, how can they change the sequel so much to make it more enjoyable? Like, what can they do? And I was impressed. I was blown away. I didn't think they could knock it out of the park again, and they definitely did. So, well done on that. And my number 6 is It Chapter 2. A lot of people don't like this movie. I don't know why. I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time with this. I just as much as the first one. Well, some people argue it's a little long, but I feel like it's necessary because each character got fully developed for why they had to find what they had to do. Maybe the way they beat it is kind of stupid, but whatever. You know, it happens. But other than that, I had fun with this, and I really enjoyed it.
My number 6 movie of the year is Toy Story 4. I mean, you couldn't be Toy Story 3. I was not expecting that, but what I got in Toy Story 4 surprised me. It was a very good movie. It was well developed. Again, it continued with good themes. I didn't love the ending, but not because it wasn't a good ending, because it meant that it probably is the last Toy Story movie now, or at least the last Toy Story movie with Woody and Buzz. Mm-hmm. And that was heartbreaking to me. And again, not that it was bad, it made sense, it worked with the story they were creating, but it was an emotional roller coaster, and that's really what Disney Pixar is all about. Added some really good characters. Keanu Reeves' character was so good in that movie. A villain that's not really a villain, that just wants to be loved. And again, like, if you can relate to every character in a movie, you've done your good job writing it. And Toy Story 4 is maybe not the top, or maybe not even the second best Toy Story movie, but it is not a bad movie by any means. My number 5 movie is Ford versus Ferrari. Again, another movie that blew me away. There's not much negative with this movie. Again, if you want to see our review on episode 43, we talked about it. It told the story of Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles. The acting of those two were great. Some of the best car sequences I've seen in movie history. That was educational. I learned so much. I wanted to know so much more. I went home and read for hours. It was entertaining. And again, you can't ask for... A good movie is entertaining, keeps you engaged, makes you think, and this movie did all of that.
All right, I'm up.
Yeah, you're number 5.
My number 5 is Little Women. I just talked about it literally 10 minutes ago in this podcast, but yeah, like I said, very fun adventure. Really thoroughly enjoyed this. I'd suggest everybody go see it. Everyone deserves to see it at least once, and all-star acting from a great cast, and yeah. And my number 4 is Ford vs. Ferrari. I second everything you said. I don't know, the last 2 racing movies, so I saw Rush, which I loved, and I saw this, which I loved as well. Great experience. 2 great actings, suspenseful. I really enjoyed this film. But go Ferrari.
My number 4 movie is Captain Marvel. In a year full of movies, or in a year full of female strong movies that hate men, like Black Christmas or Charlie's Angels or Hustlers or The Kitchen or Widows, etc., 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 this one proves you can have a strong female character, not hate men, and still make $1 billion. It's great storytelling. You have a plot which not about female empowerment, even though it is. It's about what it means to be human. And again, what's more relatable than asking that simple question? We live in a world today where we hate people based on the color of their skin, based on the genitalia that they have, based on who they want to love, who they want to be.
Yeah, and now it's what year they were born in.
Right?
What year you're
Or
born
what
in.
year you're born, and you have all these hates. But guess what? All humans, we're all the same. We all bleed. We all got.
We're all gonna die one day.
Well, that's true. And you know, I
So
really
just spend it loving instead of hating.
I really like that about this movie. And you know what? The other plot that this movie's about, it's about the importance of always getting back up. You know, that's what humans do. We're resilient, and I like that message of it. The music was fantastic back to the 90s. The acting was great. And at the end of the day, the MCU actually starts with a strong woman, not with a metal suit.
Technically, it starts with a blonde, white guy with a shield, but who's counted?
Well, but the Avengers is called the Avengers because of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. He might be the first Avenger.
Nah, you said MCU, not Avenger.
I did. It's true.
Trying to save yourself.
That's true. You got me.
Jackass.
My number 3 is Jumanji: The Next Level.
Ooh.
What can I say? I laughed the entire movie. Jack Black, Kevin Hart, The Rock, Karen Gillan were amazing. I think Jack Black steals the show again. So good. This is just a fun action adventure movie. It's what it is. It's fun. We need more movies like this. This is the kind of movie that we are lacking in 2019. This is the movie that we've lacked for a while. Just having some fun at the movies. And this movie did it. And I hope we see more of these in 2020 or throughout the 2020s.
Okay. I'm gonna say my number 3, and I'm pretty sure I can guess your 2 and 1.
Yeah, of course, because you're 2 and 1.
I know. So do you want to just let me say my 3, then we'll just say our 2 and 1s together and just say what we have to say? Okay, so my number 3 is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Really, really enjoyed that movie. Like you said, my problem with movies is not enough positivity, showing people positive role models and how just to be what it is to be a good human. We don't see that enough. We always see these relatable villains now. All the villains are too relatable, if you ask me. It's kind of scary, right? So it's nice to see. There's no real villain in I guess that you can say the villain is yourself.
Your inner demon, right?
Yeah, your inner demons. Yeah, right. So, but other than that, like I just love the message it spreads. So, that'd be my number 3. What's our number 2?
Spider-Man: Far From Home.
We didn't plan this together, by the way.
I mean,
your number 2 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Oh crap! My number 2 is X-Men: Dark Phoenix. Oh, that's awkward.
It is. All right.
Okay, maybe you should say what you have to say. No, I'm just joking. It's Far From Home too.
I mean, this movie had the impossible job of following the movie that made more money than any other movie in the history of film. And let me tell you something. This is the proof. You want to know that Marvel can do no wrong? This is the proof on how good Marvel is. It turned a movie that had to follow every superhero in the MCU, pretty much. And one character had to follow it up, and they still made $1 billion.
Well, yeah, it's the best character that Marvel has to offer.
Maybe. That's debatable. But again,
debatable.
What's not to love? Well, listen to episode 32, our last episode of season 1. What's not to like? It is the plot was great, action sequences were great, the themes were great. Living up to a legend, literally living up to the hero of the world.
Yes.
Literally.
Universe.
The universe. Yes, you're right. It had great humor, and let's not underestimate the greatness of Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio.
That was a very great role that's not really talked about, but he did a great job.
It's true.
He did a great job of Mysterio. Like at first, like, oh man, like he's really selling. Like I want to help. I'm a hero. And then just that turn, it was great.
In some ways, to me, this is the most impressive MCU movie. And a lot of the reasons is because of what it had to follow.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to this?
Spider-Man's the best hero, Obviously, Mike thought it would be a tough task, but this is Spider-Man. He's been facing tough tasks his whole life.
How did the Amazing Spider-Man 2 treat you?
Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah, that's a main difference. We don't talk about that.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't exist.
All right, the number one movie.
And Sony was in charge of that. This is MCU Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Okay, the real Spider-Man.
Welcome
So
to the
shut up.
In 2020, welcome to the MCU X-Men. We look forward to seeing you.
They're not. We won't see them for a while.
No.
Probably like 5 years.
No, I don't think so. I think 2 or 3 tops.
2 or 3
Maybe
tops.
4.
No.
You know what? Maybe you're
Fantastic Four is going in before.
right. Yeah, you might
Spider-Man.
be right. All right. Anyways, number 1. Duh. It's the Avengers Endgame. Listen. It's not the best MCU movie.
Yes, it is.
It's not the best. It's not even the best Avengers movie.
Yes, it is.
But at the end of the day, you want to talk? You say your things first.
No, I'm just saying. Yes, it is. You go ahead. You go.
It's not.
That's all I wanted to say.
It's not the best movie in the MCU. It's not the best Avengers movie. It's not even close. But it might be the most cinematic movie in the MCU. We're talking a movie that had an impossible task of having 14 to 20 heroes and finding time to give them all screen time to make an epic film. They put layers of all the other MCU movies in it, which I didn't think was possible. I did not expect that.
Neither did I.
And, we might talk about the most epic movie scene in history, the portal scene, where on your left and they all walk in, and every time I hear that music, I can listen to that music over and over again. It is so impressive. It was such an impressive movie. It impressed me so much.
Yeah.
I still haven't really processed the film. I haven't. It's so good. And again, you can listen to episode 23 on the podcast. We both gave it 10 out of 10s, and we talked about how amazing it was.
Yeah, it was regular old Disney jerk.
Any
Disney rub and tug.
That was great. You want to explain why it's your number one movie?
It's my number one movie because think about it. This could possibly be the greatest movie of all time. I don't know what he's talking about. This is the greatest MCU movie. This is the greatest Avengers movie. You want to know why?
Spider-Man.
Because Spider-Man's in Infinity War.
That's true.
Uh,
The role too.
yeah, pretty much. Look at what it's done. Like this pays homage to everything the MCU has accomplished. This is a 10-year saga. No matter what happens to the MCU after this, we're always gonna have this. No matter what happens. Well, who knows? We don't want what happened to Star Wars to happen to MCU, but I doubt that's gonna happen anytime soon. And if that happens, hopefully I'll be dead before then. But other than that, just think about this year. I never in my life would I think, me being a comic book fan, would I live to see just an adaptation of the Infinity War done so well. I know this doesn't follow 100% to the comics because, licensing issues and everything like that, but it doesn't. This is movies and comic. Not everything that translates on a comic book can go towards a movie, i.e. Watchmen. Cats. That's not a comic book, but not everything can translate well to a freaking movie, right? So for what we got, I'm happy. I seen Thanos do the freaking snap on the big screen. I never thought I'd see that in my entire life.
That's Infinity War, though. That's why.
No, he did the snap, but it didn't work.
Oh, that's true.
Idiot. I'm just joking. But yeah, I never thought I'd see just Thanos just manhandling the three big the big three of the MCU,
Captain
Thor,
America,
Cap,
Mjolnir.
and Hulk. Captain America holding Mjolnir. What a moment.
Is
That's a huge comic book moment, and we've seen that on the big screen. There's so many iconic moments in Endgame. Just
Avengers
Wow.
Assemble, and just to think that could have been an Age of Ultron, and Whedon said, no, I don't want to put it in there. And it worked so much better because now we get to hear Avengers assemble. It's just, and then the Thanos just doing the.
Yeah, he sends everybody in, and then you see Ant-Man. Giant Man doing a giant punch of freaking. It's just. Never thought I would see that. Everyone complains that the battle wasn't very eventful. Come on, it's a movie. We all know we're going to win. Technically, if you really bring it down to that thing, when is the main character really going to lose or anything like that, right? So, get out of here with your negativity. Unless there's a big cliffhanger at the end. But yes, that's my number one.
It's crazy. You know, last year I think my top 6 of my top 10 were 10 out of 10s. This year, only my top 2 were 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a shame.
Shows you how bad of a year of movie it was. But Marvel, once again, thankfully did not disappoint this year. And hopefully 2020 will continue Marvel's dominance in film.
Yeah!
And on TV now.
Well, we don't know if they're dominant on TV. They've been kind of...
Yeah, but now they will relate. So we'll see.
We will
see. We will see with Disney Plus. All right, is that it for the week?
Taste in my mouth. Yes. So next week,
pretty good first episode of 2020.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to tell everyone what we're doing next week.
A pretty good episode.
Thanks for interrupting me.
All right. Tell us what we're doing next.
But it was a good episode of 2020. Why don't you tell us since you know everything? Since you know everything, don't you? Or do you think I should tell it?
Go ahead.
Since I'm the one hosting, you ending. Since I'm the one hosting, you think I should be the one to tell it and not interrupt me? Okay, perfect.
I didn't actually interrupt you.
You did. All right. So next week, we're going to be focusing on The Grudge, 1917.
And this is why the hosting job is...
why are you interrupting me?
Because you... Try this again. Take two.
No, not take 2.
Take 2.
We're doing 1917 next week. We're doing The Grudge. And we're looking at the bottom 10 of the decade. And Spooch, you can go hump a tree.
Our bottom 10 films of the decade. What we hated the most.
The bottom 10 of the decade. This is a film podcast. What is it going to be? The bottom 10 soups of the podcast of the decade? They know what we talk about here. We all talk movies.
All right. You guys have a wonderful week.
And a happy 2020 to you all.
Happy 2020.
God bless.